2021. And first of all, I just want to thank everybody for being patient. This is going to get better and better as we go along. So let's start out with the Pledge of Allegiance. Roxy Marsh. Thank you. Proof of notice, Director Killam.
The meeting was posted in accordance with Florida statutes.
Thank you. Approval of minutes, Director Killam.
I move to waive the reading and accept the minutes of the FVRA Board of Directors meeting on Tuesday, July 13th, 2021 at 7 p.m.
Second that.
It was seconded, Roxy Marsh. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Now I'm just going to interrupt things for a minute here just to let you know what, everybody know what we're going to be doing from now on. By our bylaws, by statutes, we are supposed to record every director's vote on motions. We don't have to do that if we say this was unanimous. All the votes are in. So whenever it's unanimous, but what you'll hear me doing in the future now, if somebody or two people vote no, we'll have to announce who those two are. That way everybody's covered. We're recording everybody's vote. Thank you. Treasurer's report, Director Raymer.
Well, I guess we made it through the rainstorm. We'll make this short and sweet. We had a really good month as far as the treasurer's report was concerned. Our accountant came through and gave us all the data we need yesterday afternoon, so we were able to get this. It is on the website. If anybody has their phone with us, you can go on the website and see the numbers right in front of you. So I know it's difficult to watch here. We have only a couple more months of doing this in this park or in this building, then we'll move over to where there'll be a big screen and you'll see all the numbers out in front. The first page that we have is our executive summary, and you can see across the top we've had a good month. We had a $16,000 variable, and year-to-date we're $42,000 ahead of our budget. Our operating balance in the middle is $135,000. Our reserves are $106,234. There's approximately $300,000 in that number for the clubhouse that we are retaining until the end of our financing runs out in case we need shortfalls to pick up the balance. The reserve plan for 2021 is the bottom line numbers, and if you can see it, our balance starting in the first this year was 1.837766. Our end balance should be 7610675. That keeps us at 49% of our budget number that we need to stay at, and that says we're 49% funded. This is basically the P&L. We had some clerical things that we had to do in accounting, so it showed up as a negative balance of $3,012. As you go down it, you'll see net operations, $26,133 and 15 to the good. So our surplus is moving right along. FSC, of course, you'll start to see those numbers in December if and when our snowbirds get to come back. Balance sheet, bottom line, we have $9,461,991 shareholders' equity in the park. That will change dramatically when we finally finish the building, take access to it, and add it to our balance sheet. Reserve account, it's quite easy this month. You saw them changing the front door at the office. That was the balance, $3,300. And Wanamaker, who is our drafting architect company for the building, took their monthly draw that they have for $4,799. So it was a very inexpensive month. Last month we had zero, so it worked out pretty good. Year-to-date on the reserve activity, and as you are aware, we have operating and reserve. This is the second half of it. Our balance opening was 1.8. Our capital expenditures, which include the clubhouse, is 1.74752. Bottom line, our balance in the bank is $1,062,433. $300 of that is designated to the clubhouse. The other $700, we will either use it or move it on until next year, but that'll be determined at a later date. And this one here, you can't even see. So the bottom line, you saw it in the executive, we are 49.7% funded. This is a breakdown of the expenditures versus what we budgeted. If we had the 14-foot screen, I could multiply by 5 so you could see it. And this is the clubhouse, and we haven't been showing that. It's taken a while to build it. Dennis and I are constantly tracking the spending to make sure we're staying within balance. But you can see going across the top, total base contract, total spent, and balance left to spend on the contract. Then there were change orders and that type of thing, contingencies. As we go across, you can see that they're in the contingency. The balance remaining is $170,000. In IT and setting up the stage, they've spent $101,000, so we overestimated the cost by $48,000. Getting down to the bottom, the architect, of course, he's 90% paid. We're almost finished with his participation in the building. Right now, we're over 50% of the way through one. Our bank loan is standing at about 2.2. That'll carry us through the end of construction. And it looks like we're going to be under budget, but I'm not going to stand on a podium and scream that too loud. Thank you, Mr. President. There's your treasurer.
Excellent, thank you. And now we'll have the manager's report. Anthony Fiore.
Hey, good evening, everyone. I'm just going to address one item tonight. If anyone wants to address landscaping or mowing, let's do that after, or you're more than welcome to address it when we have the discussion with the shareholders. In reference to that, there's been a lot of time from the office invested trying to make sure that they come here and do what they're supposed to do. So just want to make sure that that's on record. I inform everybody to make sure that they should be sending us an email with information where there is any problems or concerns, as well as a note as well as a photo, if you can do that. That's worked. We forwarded to Alexander's, and typically they respond to that. It's like anything else. We're on them constantly. It's important that people address those concerns individually so they have everything on record. I don't know if everyone is well aware of this. Heather Talon provided her resignation a while ago. We had several interviews, and Dennis, Roxy, and I felt that we picked the best candidate, and Stephanie will be starting on the 23rd of August. That's all I have. Thank you.
I'd like to say something to everybody here, because when Anthony says that they've been working with the Alexanders, I'm in the office a lot. They are talking to Alexanders constantly, and not in a polite way. And so we're really working to get Alexanders up to snuff. My point of saying this, though, is that certainly if there's something wrong, report it to the office. But make sure you report it to the office in the proper manner, because these people are doing everything they can. And when I say everything they can, I know there's been a couple months when they haven't been doing what they're supposed to, that he held their check back from them. So then when they call and say, hey, where's my money? Then he says, I think you guys need to go out here to do some work. But this, I'm just telling you, the office is doing everything they can to try and whip Alexanders in shape. Anything that you have, certainly bring it to the office, but just be aware of his frustration also with this. Moving on. Committee reports, 7.1 ARC minutes, Darrell Burns.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the approval of the following Architectural Review Committee minutes and the modifications contained therein. The dates of the meetings were July the 12th and July the 26th.
Second?
Was that Charlie second?
Yes.
Yeah, Charlie second.
Rationale. These minutes were received and approved by the Architectural Review Committee and sent to all directors for their review and approval. Approval is recommended.
All in favor of approving the Architectural Review Committee minutes, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And no is a nay. Okay, that's passed unanimously.
I only got one comment to make. Hurry back, Charlie.
Okay, will do.
Okay, we don't have much new business, and this is something we've talked about before. To start with, I want to talk to you a little bit about our clubhouse donations. We've got kind of a plan. We're trying to get a committee together. Anybody who'd like to serve on the committee to decide just how we set up how the donation should be handled, just get in touch with the office. I'm love to have anybody who wants it in the committee so we can set up a program. We've got a good start. What we're planning on right now is, they call them name tags. You might have a big board in the clubhouse and tags, and they're made out of brass or whatever, and with a person's name on it. That would be in memorial to, or just your own name. That would be like $100. And then if you wanted an actual plaque, something bigger and more solid, that we would place in various places in the clubhouse, that's like $500. And right now we're thinking anybody who wants to name a room after somebody, if you were to say this is the Bob Smith Memorial Library, that's like $5,000. We're going to get this all worked out, the exact numbers and everything. And right now we already have one really large donation in-house, and so it's not too early to start making your donations. And then when we get the clubhouse more fully constructed, we'll figure out exactly where. But if you want to start kind of reserving your spots there, you can call into the office anytime or ask for me. So secondly is about COVID restrictions, and this is going to come as a little surprise to the directors, because I polled all the directors, and I've got their votes, and I got them late, so they're not sure what's happening right now anyhow. But I think a lot of people keep track, and you know, we waited to loosen the restrictions until the positivity rate was under 4%, and we got there. Now the positivity rate is over 18%. It's huge, and we want to make sure, most of all, that we protect our employees. Now, you know, when you only have 3 or 4 people in the office doing all the work, if you lose one of them for an extended period of time, that's really bad. So I gave several options to all the directors, and so the directors know it was 5-0 in favor of option 1. Now, we had 4 other options, and it was, but well, 5 of the directors voted for option 1. And then we had 1 for option 2, 2 for option 3, and only 1 for option 4. So what we're going to do, as soon as we can get the signs up, we're going to put a sign up saying on the door to the office, all residents, guests, visitors, and employees must wear masks when entering the FVRA office. Now, we'll probably put a little sign up there too. If you don't have a mask, one will be available inside. We don't want people visiting and coming down and have to be turned away. So that's what we're going to do as soon as we can get that signage up. And right now, for these meetings, we don't have people from outside. We're thinking pretty much everybody's vaccinated. For our committee meetings, for the board meetings, for now, we're going to continue with no restrictions on that.
John, also, there will be hand sanitizers in the office, correct?
Yes, excellent. That's true. One other thing, and this will go quickly. People wondering about Spectrum. If you've seen them now, they are on site. I'm making marks in the ground and figuring out the layout for the new. So they're getting to that part. And just so you know how this works, and it seems like we're dragging our feet because we got it approved and a signed contract months ago. To start with, there's a process, and the first part of the process for Spectrum is the procurement of funds. And I didn't know this, but it's a big deal for Spectrum as a huge entity to take that $2 million or whatever it is and get it out to people. It can take some time. But they got that early, so the important part is they have the money to do everything now. And then there's a design phase, and then there's an engineering phase, and I think we're past the design and into engineering, and that's why they're marking out locations. Then eventually they'll start digging, and then the last one will be they'll start hooking up to houses. And just so you know, they'll start doing that in different lots, so to speak, so that you may have Spectrum in December and the rest of the park doesn't, because we're just going to turn it on as we go along. But everybody, the drop dead absolute date is for everybody to have it by the end of January. But we're planning on early January to get that all done. So we're in good shape with the Spectrum, and you'll start seeing some trucks around, so you see a little activity. I think that makes everybody feel a little more confident about the whole thing, that they're actually out here doing something. That's all I had for these discussions. If there's nothing else, and now that it's nice and quiet, I could entertain a motion for adjournment.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Darrell motioned.
And I'll second it.
And the other Darrell. Darrell Swain seconded. All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Motion carries unanimously. And certainly we'll have a discussion with our shareholders, so anybody who would like to, just come up to the microphone, give us your name and lot number, and feel free to talk to us. Well, see, and I think we took 17 minutes, and we waited for all that time for it. But thank you for your patience. Thanks for hanging around. Mr. Dunn.
Bob Dunn, 103. I was trying to get up here when Anthony was talking, but I had some problems with the sound, so I had to go back. Quick question on Alexander's. The flagpoles, they've damaged 7 of them. I can't get them to go all the way up, some of them, and some of them I can't get to come down, so we need some. And they run $300 or $400 a piece.
Yeah, I know. That we're working on that as well. That's part of the discussions with them.
Thanks.
There's a lot of discussions right now with them, and they are taking an extensive amount of time of the office in reference to documentation, because the only way we're going to get anywhere according to the contract. They have 30 days to resolve any of our concerns. Dennis is going to try to set up a meeting with them, and I've tried to give him an outline of all the items that we need to address, but he hears what goes on every day, and Alexander's is a daily conversation.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to them. Boy, a couple years ago, they were Johnny on the spot. They couldn't do enough for us. I mean... Huh? Yeah, I mean...
Well, I don't know about that, but I think their biggest problem is they weren't able to hire any 1HB workers. They depend on the 1HB workers, and I know that they were denied. I don't know why, but that's a big hit for them.
Yeah.
That's a real, and that's creating a problem for them and us and all their clientele.
So for
And
those
again, well, let me just finish.
Sure,
I'm
sure.
not defending them, believe me.
No, I know. I'm just saying, when we had the hurricane a couple years ago, they were in here
Right.
before anybody else and had the place cleaned up in one day. You never knew we had a hurricane by the way they did, and they've always been good at coming in, especially James, the owner. But I haven't seen James in a year and a half, and usually he's in here all the time. So,
Well, actually, the last time you saw him is when him and I had a confrontation.
I think you're right.
Just wanted to explain his reference to 1HB. That's the immigration process they have to go through to hire immigrant workers and actually bring them in to work. It's expensive. I can't believe how much it costs them. So not only did that cost go up, they can't get the workers to come in the first place. So he's really hurting for help. That's why it's taking him the last couple of weeks, 2 days to finish, instead of just one.
Yeah.
One other thing for everybody to be aware of is we're in the process of finalizing our budget for next year. And that process is the office, the manager, gets together all of the data that needs to go into our budget. How much gas bills are, electric bills, the lawnmower, and all of those contracts. He has to reach out and try and make sure he finds out what increases are coming. And so the office and Dennis is here helping put together all of those data, which gives you a proposed budget. Now it's gone to the Finance Committee. Some really, really sharp guys there that all have a good background in accounting. And they're now going over that and working with the management to fine-tune that. And as somebody posted on Facebook, well, our director, Lydia, had said she was there, and these guys are looking at every line item and not just glossing over them. They're looking at every one, figuring out how was this calculated, and looking at everything, and just, like she said, I think, taking care of every dime just like it was their own money. Well, it is our own money. But the Finance Committee is doing this. I've been sitting in on the meetings. They're doing a great job. Prices are going up. You can't avoid that, but you certainly can minimize that. And between the management and the Finance Committee, they're doing a great job. And I think you'll all be surprised at how well they do this. And we're going to have another meeting to finalize everything. Then it'll come before the board, and then we'll present it to the shareholders. And then in November, we'll have a meeting of all the shareholders to approve it. Yeah, and you'll get it in the mail, so you'll have time to study it. So that's the process, and I think the committee and the management's doing a great job. I'm real confident that we're going to have a real good budget this year. Appreciate all these guys' work.